We have a horrible case of what happens when the Trump administration ignores due process and just bumbles along into terrible outcomes. They apparently accidentally deported a Maryland father to El Salvador because of an administrative error, they say. But don't worry, they acknowledge the error. Oh, are you wondering if they're gonna bring him back? No, they can't do that. No, it was an error. They acknowledge that, but he's there, probably for the rest of his life. But don't worry, it probably won't be that long. And I wish that I was being sarcastic. I wish that this was my normal sort of humorous defense mechanism, but no, all of this is true, and they're not doing anything to right it. And so let's jump into all the details. So they argue that they can't bring back Abrego Garcia because he's in Salvadoran custody. And they're not concerned that he could be tortured or killed in there. It's like they have him, so that's it. There's nothing we can do about that. I'm gonna return to that point in just a sec. But so they're being sued, and the lawsuit was over the removal of Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran national who back in 2019 was granted protected status by an immigration judge, prohibiting the federal government from sending him to El Salvador. Now, on March 15th of this year, although ICE was aware of his protection by that judicial order, they still removed him to El Salvador. But again, the Trump administration says it was an administrative error. Now, bear in mind that initial protective order happened in 2019. JD Vance is gonna wanna pay attention to this because he's gotten himself in some trouble over that. But anyway, his attorneys say that Garcia fled gang violence in El Salvador more than a decade ago. He's been identified by his wife in a photo of detainees entering intake at the CCOT prison. She had no idea where he was until she saw him in those photos, by the way. And I know that we can't pause for a really long time. We gotta talk about a lot of topics. But if you can spare just a couple of seconds, think about the near unimaginable horror of your partner's gone. You have no idea. They could be dead in a ditch. They could have abandoned you. They could have gotten lost in the woods. You have no idea. And then you see in a photo the intake at one of the most notorious and dangerous prisons in the world. Oh my God, that's him? How is a movie not being made about this? I've seen Hulu make series about less dramatic things than this horror. But anyway, he was removed. They said that he played a prominent role in MS-13. There's no evidence of any ties, let alone a prominent role in MS-13, okay? And so apparently it happened because like he'd been on a list of alternates to be on a plane, and they had to take some of the people off the plane, but they want to pack as many migrants as possible, so they just threw him on there. They didn't really check into it or whatever. Whatever, you send him there. It's fine. I mean, it's not. They can't get him back, I guess. And so JD Vance got in trouble because he implied that the protective order happened under Biden. So I guess the idea there is that if a judge under a Democrat says something, you don't have to pay attention to it, which would be insane. But also Biden wasn't president in 2019. So he sort of had to acknowledge that. But in this tweet, you can see that he then immediately pivots to trying to distract people from that issue, saying, my further comment is that it's gross to get fired up about gang members getting deported while ignoring citizens they victimize. Okay, now JD Vance, I understand that you don't mean anything you're saying, and you're just hoping that if you invoke racism enough, people won't pay attention to the fact that this is a horror that you and your administration have put onto the world, and that you got the 2019 thing wrong. I get that you don't mean any of this whatsoever. But like he's there. How is it that you can't get him back? Do they not have phones in this prison? Do they not have, I don't know, telegrams in El Salvador? Presumably you spoke to the government to set up this deal where you deport people, green card holders, legal residents, maybe US citizens. You talk to them then. You're saying you can't send a person, it's beyond your control. You can get political prisoners from Russia. El Salvador though, that's far. It's far, and I called once and it was busy. I don't want to call again. What are you talking about? This is insane incompetence, okay? And how this story is the biggest story in the world, I don't know. People should be rioting in the streets over this, organizing in the streets over this, to be peacefully over this. But this is exactly what we said was going to happen. They need to pretend they're finding criminals, so they're taking people who have not been accused of literally anything. They disappear them, and maybe they get shanked or whatever. We're not gonna bother to bring them back. Jackson, you mentioned this story earlier on the show. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was important that you took a second to pause for people to put themselves in their shoes. I mean, this type of trauma is going to stay with you forever, and not even just the fact that you had to go through it, but coming back to the United States, or what you feel about it now. Our image around the world is completely changing. Countries are uniting against us in trade, uniting against us economically, and preparing themselves for whatever these fools in the White House administration are going to do. And again, the incompetence really is striking because, and you also pointed this out, how much do you really care about getting these murderers and thieves and whatever else, these dangerous criminals off the streets, if you send in hairdressers to prisons in El Salvador? If by the end of Trump's term, if half of all undocumented migrants at least aren't up out of here, then what did they really get done other than sending the wrong people to prisons and sending the wrong people back to whatever country? So I don't know what the numbers are going to be. We're still so early in, but I don't. It's not looking like they're gonna be on any type of record-breaking deportations. These people don't know what they're doing, and it's clear that they don't care. We're supposed to just shut up and close our eyes.
They are feckless, incompetent jackasses. That's all they are. They're stupid, 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 stupid. And I don't know why I have to keep reminding the young men of America, it's not good to be dumb. Nope. Being dumb is bad in every aspect of your life. Stop aspiring to be dumb. Stop looking up to dumb men. They're dumb, 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 okay? And that means that they can't even accomplish their own corrupt, evil goals. And thank God for that, let alone actually do what we need the government to do. And by the way, Galfar brought up a good point in the chat. Wasn't Kristi Noem just at this prison? So I feel like she knows how to get there. Maybe Kristi could go back. I'll even let her, she could put on like a Marine uniform or whatever. She's always doing her cosplay photo shoots or whatever. I respect the hustle, if she made the uniform herself, maybe like a Mandalorian helmet, whatever she wants to wear. But like maybe you could like, as you're passing by like the main office, could you like knock on the door a little bit and be like, hey, we biffed it. We sent a totally innocent man. Maybe you could release him before he's murdered in prison. And then you could go back to posing or whatever, and you could have your Rolex on. And it's so fun to pose in front of terrorists and killers and innocent people. Granted, they're not white, so I'm not expecting you to shed a tear or whatever. You don't look like you're physically capable of it. But maybe you could knock on that door and see if we get this guy back before he's murdered.